Maha, we finally made it. Why are you doing what you're doing?
It's really simple. This is a basic human right. People should be able to get from point A to point B. Look at a country like Pakistan, women are perpetually relying on men. There's this big dependency that I've always felt. A woman needs to be able to leave the house without worrying about how the hell am I paying for it and how safe is it. My first job in Pakistan, I spent close to 90% of my salary on just my commute costs.
How BusCaro can really sustain the business on the long run while being affordable.
We have never subsidized, we've never given out discounts.
Welcome, Maha. We finally made it. Our recording, because we were supposed to meet last time in Lahore, but now we are meeting in Karachi.
Well,
in your city right now.
In my city, absolutely.
So you were born and raised in Karachi. You lived in US for some times. What brings you to Pakistan after that long?
So I am born in Karachi. I've lived kind of everywhere. I don't know what home really was growing up. And then I came back to Pakistan in 2017. I came back for Kareem when they were doing mobility in Pakistan, and I thought that's going to change every woman's life in this country. So I thought I'd come in, do a stint, and then go back to New York. That was 2017. It's now been 8.5 years, and the rest is history. I'm still doing exactly what I was doing when I came here, which is trying to solve for mobility, and today BusCaro does exactly that.
Through different venture, because you've been part of Swivel, and you're just like following up this one mission, through different being an employee and being a founder. And why are you doing what you're doing? I mean, what is your drive today besides this big mission? What Maha is driven by?
Look, I think it's really simple. One is this is a basic human right. People should be able to get from point A to point B. And I think when you think about it as a woman, I think mobility means so much more to me than that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It defines our freedom. It defines our decision making. It defines our independence, right? And when you look at a country like Pakistan, women are perpetually relying on men to get them around, right?
I was so surprised when I came to Pakistan. I lived in Paris for 10 years. I'm from Morocco. So yeah, I was so surprised that the women are...
Irrespective of the socioeconomic class, right? And so a woman might be relying on her driver. She might be relying on the guy who picked, her brother, her father, whoever. But irrespective of that, I feel like there's this big dependency that I've always felt that's there. And it shouldn't be. And we need to own our lives. And for that to happen, just like everywhere else in the world, I think a woman needs to be able to leave the house without worrying about how the hell am I paying for it and how safe is it. And that's why we started this company. What we ended up realizing is that, well, men are actually struggling too. And they need safe, affordable, dignified commute, which we provide to them. Then we realized, okay, there's this entire children's space of kids who need to get to school and back, and they don't really have a way to do that in the most practical sense, right? And so that kind of then became an area that we work on. But to answer your question, in a nutshell, I think everyone should be able to leave the house. It shouldn't be that complicated. And I think in a market like Pakistan, a woman's freedom is determined by this. I also think that for me, the number one roadblock to education, to employment opportunities is this commute cost, right? I myself, in my first job in Pakistan, I spent close to 90% of my salary on just my commute costs. And I had this shitty...
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah.
And it's absolutely ridiculous. And I knew, ultimately I make more money. It's going to be fine. But most women are not...
Can't afford, of course.
If they have to give up their entire income just to get to work and back.
There's no need.
It's ridiculous, right? And so... that's what we really want to be working on and have been working on. And as of today, we do about 40,000 bookings a day.
I've seen that you celebrated 20 million booking recently. And this is like an amazing milestone, being in Pakistan, operating for women and men who struggle every day. I was thinking about the price and how you nail prices in market like Pakistan, because we're talking about Egypt, a very price sensitive market.
Right.
You need also to be a business. You're not a charity. How you manage? For me, this is the biggest headache, right?
Look, it's a lot simpler than we've all made it seem like? Because at the end of the day, I do high capacity vehicles, right? If you're using BusCaro and I am making money off you, you're still paying me about 25% of what you would be paying ride hailing, right? Or what you would be paying a rickshaw.
Of course.
I am your cheapest option outside of taking a bike, which also, depending on the distance, I might be cheaper, I might be a little bit more expensive. Women, of course, are ruled out of that. There's, of course, public transportation, but there's no safety. There's a complete...
Too crowded.
It's overcrowded. You have severe harassment issues. You have severe accessibility issues. And so I am a fraction of what you're paying.
Of course.
I'm not a charity. But when I make money off you, I'm still giving you a rate that nobody else would, right? And so beyond that, I don't really believe in subsidies. I believe in doing this very sustainably. Of course,
but isn't the other way around? How BusCaro can really sustain the business on the long run while being affordable to all these women and men? For me, the you are taking the biggest risk. I mean,
I'm not. I have been. My unit economics have been positive from day one.
Okay.
Day one. We have never subsidized. We have never given out discounts. We're not doing any free rides. We're not doing any, subsidies for this is my cost. I'm going to charge you a little bit more than that, right? That has been the case across the board. We've been a CM3 positive business.
Right.
We're now CM4 positive business. We basically have never compromised on the unit economics. Our burn has been on deck and other things.
Right.
But if the ride costs me $1, you are going to pay me more than $1. There's never been...
Of course.
We've never...
It's business. There's no burn money.
100%. And if I don't do it that way, I'm going to shut down and I can't solve your problems, right? And so ultimately for us, subsidies were a no-no. We've done this very sustainably and we still make money off it, right?
Of course.
We don't compromise on that. And I think it's such a huge problem that we're solving with so much potential scale that I don't really worry about our ability to scale. Like the demand is a lot more than what we can cater to.
And especially in emerging markets, you cannot afford to just burn money or just waste money on like marketing or irrelevant stuff. You need to deliver the service as in the best way possible for you,
right?
And also in the best affordable way for the customers.
Yes, and I think, look, I mean, this is a very, very new ecosystem, right?
Right.
I think what we've learned over the years is this is not Silicon Valley. Lifetime value of users here looks very different than it does in the West, right? And so when you look at Netflix right now, they still spend $100 to acquire a user, no problem, right? Because the subscription and the retention then works out where it makes perfect sense.
Exactly.
In a market like Pakistan, when very high,
what are the numbers?
It doesn't make any sense, right? Because you have a user that's paying you revenue in BKR. Marketing costs and customer acquisition costs are usually back to the dollar. And that ratio doesn't make sense, right? And so I think that sustainability for us is very, very important. The other thing for us was we never wanted to compromise on retention. And so we built a subscription model from day one so we could encourage people not to be using us once or twice a month, but to use us every day, twice a day without fail, right? And that's what most of our users do. And so our average rides per user are at about 25, 26.
Wow.
And so that recurring user has really then changed the game for us.
And was the B2B like game a way out, like a way for BusCaro to breathe? Because I guess like when you have kind of B2B partnership gives you this cash flow that make BusCaro maybe thrive. And
look, so from a cash flow perspective, a B2C business is always better because the user is paying up front.
Yeah.
B2B, they're paying.
Yeah.
Cash flow wise, no. But I think for me, when we were starting this, it was, okay, why do we want to do this? We want to do this so people can go to school, and we want to do this so people can go to work, right? I don't care if I can take you to the mall or not, right? It's the least of I'm just...
my concern.
This on a very basic level. And when I do that, okay, schools, universities, offices, that's where people are going to go, right? And so one, of course, there's the B2B angle, but two, there's the B2B2C angle, where I'm saying, okay, let me get demand, which is in one place, either starting point or ending point. So that could be...
And yes, if you're still here, subscribe to the channel. It will help us a lot to grow and it will mean the world to us. Running all over the place, but...
You're only here till the weekend.
till Monday night. Yeah, I'll be in the comments of Karachi.
Oh, I'm gonna be there on Saturday, so I will.
I'm exposed actually with my cosmetic brand.
Oh, awesome! What's it called?
I'll share it with you. So yeah, actually, my next question about the funding. I mean, you cracked the funding because I know it's like very hard to attract investors in such a business. How a woman cracked funding for BusCaro in Pakistan.
Well, I wouldn't say I cracked funding.
You managed to get it at least.
We raised $3.5 million between our 2 rounds.
What promise you give to the investors? Because it's not only about money, it's also about maybe the impact that you are having, right?
If I can be honest with you, I think that people think they're going to go out to investors and they're going to meet 5 and 1 is going to say yes. And it's all going to be hunky-dory. And if 5 people say no, they'll shut the business down.
Yeah.
I think the only difference between me and everyone who is complaining about that in the ecosystem is the fact that I wasn't asking 5. I wasn't asking 10. I wasn't asking 100.
Yeah, of course.
My first round, about 600 in total investors that I
talked to 600.
I talked to 600.
Wow.
458 or 438, I don't remember now, is my first yes, right? I just did not stop.
Yeah.
It was no problem, next, right? And that's how I operated. Second round, history repeated itself. And
what was the biggest objections from investors? What they were telling you?
If Swivel and Airlift and Kareem and Uber couldn't do it, who the hell do you think you are? And if it's not been done with hundreds of millions of dollars, how do you plan to do it with a couple of million, ma'am?
Right.
I think it's a fair question. But I would like to think that I knew what I was doing. And then there were some crazy people who said, you know what, I'm going to back this girl. And I think those are the people that ultimately came through for us. But I have spoken to thousands of investors, right? My conversion rate is 1%. I'm willing to bet that if anybody goes out and is willing to put in that kind of time and effort into fundraising, and take no all day, they'll raise money. What everyone wants to do is, here are 5 local VCs. Let's go ask 5 people. Oh no, all 5 said no, funding is impossible, right? That's
let's shut down.
to me, that's extremely lazy, and I think you have to know where you're building. I was building in Pakistan. I was doing it in the summer of 2022. I was doing it in the middle of
post-COVID. Yeah.
Post-COVID. Post Russia, Ukraine, post markets crashing, post Pakistan's floods, post multiple companies shutting down in Pakistan, and mobility generally globally doing terribly. I would be crazy to expect that I'm going to talk to 10 people and I'm going to get a yes. And I didn't expect that. I just focused on the fact that I only need 1 yes, and I kept looking for that. We did not stop, and ultimately that paid off. I think there's no skill here because it's not like you can do this strategically where these are the funds who have, a mandate where they invest in Pakistan. Those don't exist. Okay, here are the funds that want to do mobility business. Yeah. Doesn't exist.
No.
Right? And I just did not stop knocking on doors.
Right.
And I think that's really the lesson in this. I'm
just determination and obsession.
Oh yeah, I'm an extremely introverted, awkward human being. I'm not someone who's charming. I'm not someone who's naturally good with investors. I'm just someone who kept knocking on doors. And that's what I keep telling young founders, just how many no's have you gotten? So, that laziness, I think, needs to leave our mindset. We want to build in this country. We need to build prep for the issues that we're going to face, because we can all guess those realities and be prepared for them.
Beautiful, beautiful lesson for the entrepreneurs in the Middle East and North African region in general, and especially Pakistan. I actually know about your unit economics challenge, and to be honest, myself, I just started understanding it when I started operating in these markets, because when you're operating in Europe or France or US, it's a completely different game. I was like, oh, that's what unit economics in these markets is about. Can you please a little bit explain to entrepreneurs who are operating in these markets, or even founders who are starting in Pakistan, what is the right numbers, or maybe the right reflex we should have regarding this?
So look, I think the dynamics in these markets are very different, right? If you look at GDP per capita in the markets that you mentioned versus this region, those numbers are very different, right? Even if you compare Pakistan and the UAE, there's a world of difference, right?
Yeah.
Look at the average order value there versus here. And when you're operating in markets that are super price sensitive, and you're trying to go after scale, and it's not just a niche product that you're giving to a high-end user, where of course economics can be great anywhere in the world, but when it's something that you want to do at scale, and your GDP per capita is low, then you're dealing with very razor thin margins, right? And you're dealing with then you're prepared, I think, to have lower margins, but really focus on the scale, and then keep things as lean as possible.
Of course.
Because your customers don't have the same propensity to pay as they do in other markets, right? And I think we oftentimes try to build here like it's San Francisco, and we're sitting in Silicon Valley.
Which is not working.
And the reality of the situation is that user is very different than our user, right? And I think as far as especially things like marketing goals, things like just OpEx goals, we have to be super duper stingy, right? And we have to be super sustainable. And we have to make sure that those numbers make sense from day one. What I've seen happen over and over again in B2C businesses in Pakistan is I'll start giving them things for free to bring you on board, right? And while that works in Europe and that works in the US, I'm now giving it to you, but you can't afford to pay me when I take that subsidy away. So now, one, I've acquired the wrong user. Two, this user is not going to have any retention. And three, I wasted all these discounts on you when the second I pull them away, you're gone, right? And so I think for me, it's like focused on the right user from day one.
That are ready to pay from day one.
That can afford to pay from day one, right? That has to be managed in a market like ours. And I think that's one of the big things that I've really learned and tried to focus on.
You learned it the hard way, or?
Of course I learned it the hard
or
way.
you already knew it kind of and you just like implemented slowly?
Nobody knew anything. None of us still know anything. This is a very early ecosystem. We're all learning. But I think really understanding the customer profile here has come with, over time. Because when we thought about how to build venture, we learned that from the West.
Right.
And then we tried to replicate that. And then we said, oh no, that doesn't work that well for us, right? So what can we do differently? And I think ultimately we've now learned, okay, well, for Pakistan, or for Africa, or Egypt, this is just a different market, and this is the best way to focus on it. And I think now we're seeing a lot more of that.
And I've heard the story that you start from a bus and a WhatsApp group. When you integrate the tech, like more tech in this company, and when you managed the real life, I mean, buses, drivers, and the technology, how you manage these two parts of the business, because it's a little bit challenging, right?
This is probably an extremely anti-tech founder thing to say, but the fact of the matter is that when we look at a market like Pakistan, tech costs are really high, like in proportion to different cost structures and our businesses, right?
Right.
Which it's in reverse when you look at the West, right? And so, everybody wants to spend all this money on tech, but I'm like, okay, do you want to see if there's a user who actually wants this product first? Do they like this? Are you building the right thing? Will we need to do a whole bunch of tweaks and throw this out later? And so I actually started with zero tech. I started with test it, get customers on board, get customers' feedback, see if it works, then we go out and build it down. Because I refuse to believe that there's any business like this which you can't run operationally for the first few weeks, months, to get that traction going, really figure out your business model, and then bring the technology into the equation, which is what we did. So day one, it was one phone, it was us 3 colleagues. We were the customer service person, we were the supply person, we were the person telling, the supplier, okay, get here, customer, you can go outside, right? Everything was us, right?
Of course.
We were that entire ecosystem, and then we did a bunch of vehicles that we started running like this manually, started to learn pivot on the model, figure out exactly what we're doing, and then
doing. And yes, if you're still here, subscribe to the channel. It will help us a lot to grow and it will mean the world to us. Some Excel sheets maybe here and there. A lot of Excel sheets.
There's a lot of Google Sheets, but that's how we ran it. That's how
Of
we ran
course.
it. And then we knew what we were building.
Exactly.
And now, sure, we spent absurd amounts of money on things, right? But at least we knew what we're building. Whereas I feel like I mentor founders.
Just burning money and trying and
Oh, look, we've built this entire amazing tech stack. I'm like, how many users do you have? Oh, no, we're pre-revenue. I'm like, do you know?
don't talk to me.
I'm like, do you know if your user is going to actually like this? Like, could we not speak to a user? Could we not try this with the user first? And so, yeah, I think that's the way in which we did it. And it worked out.
How do you hire people in BusCaro? From the driver to maybe the DevOps.
So I'll break it down for you. My initial team for a very long time internally was my ex-colleagues from Swivel, my ex-colleagues from Green, my ex-colleagues from Kubanda. And so everybody knew them, knew how they work, they knew how I work. We already had that sort of working relationship. Even today, most of us are all 2-3 times.
That's the best way.
And then again, with our supply funnel and with the drivers and everything that we've onboarded, we have over 1,000 vehicles running. Number one has been safety, right? Are these people going to be safe? Are they going to be reliable? Do they pass all our testing criteria? What is their background check indicating? Have they gone through the training? Are they performing constantly to the level that we want to give to our users?
Right.
And those are some of the things we basically look at when onboarding our supply funnel.
Okay. And people stay? Which is your turnover? Is it a company that people, it's hard to, keep, especially the drivers and this kind of people. Maybe the senior people can stay in a company. How do you retain these kind of employees in BusCaro?
So the way that our model works is we're not actually bringing the driver ourselves.
Okay.
So you are a supplier and you are giving me this one driver, or you are both, right? Where you're like, yeah, I have a vehicle, Maha, and I'm going to drive with you. What we do is then we train those people.
Right.
And we run backgrounds on them, and then we bring them on board, and then we manage the operations, right? But the actual bringing in the driver is being done in a lot of cases by somebody who's not us.
Okay.
But as far as our retention goes, touch wood, we've been super lucky both with the team internally, with the partners that we've had. And I think my team has done a phenomenal job.
That's a blessing. What is one value you really keep on insisting that every one of your team has to swear by?
Deliberate creation.
Deliberate creation. Can you explain?
Yes.
It looks like a code.
It's not. I think it's just really a way of life, right? Where we say, okay, where do we want to get to?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Let's decide that. Let's not look at where we are and then build up from there and say, okay, we're going to do that. Where do we want to be? Right?
And
buy it, believe it, work backwards.
Backwards.
And make that happen. And I think,
like, forget about your current situation kind of mindset.
Believe it, right? The first thing you have to do anything, because everything that all of us are trying to do is practically impossible, is you need to sell it to yourself first, right? And so you need to believe it in 100%, right? And then you live and die by that, right? And so I think that obsession with that endpoint and then working towards it, that is something that we are as a company obsessed with.
Amazing. What does success looks like for you in the next 12 months, let's say, for BusCaro?
12 months.
The year is ending almost December, so I guess that you are a little bit planning your 12 months ahead.
I think it's a tricky question because I think on some level, no matter what we achieve, it's going to feel extremely small. 12 months is not enough time to take mobility away from the problems in this country, right? And so there's only
I know it's a long way to
there's only so
drive.
much you can do, right? And so I'll break this into two parts. I think for me in the long run, success looks like any of us can leave our houses, get around. Safety, affordability is not a question. Accessibility is not a question. I think that's the long-term dream. Got ways to go from that. I think what we'd love to do in the next year is expand into new cities. We have a market launch.
How many cities you have right now?
Well, we call it 3 because we're calling it actually the horse launch.
KLA.
We're actually doing many more because we do the adjacent cities and
The Rawalpindi, the thing.
I mean, yeah, and beyond, right? Like in the case of Islamabad, we're doing like Qatar, for instance. If we talk about Lahore, we're going to Sheikhupura, we're going to, we're halfway to Faisalabad, and so on and so forth. But the 3 major focus points for us right now are KLI. Want to expand far beyond that. Want to expand to another market, which is something we want to do in the months to come.
Markets outside of Pakistan?
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit? Actually, this season is mostly about Pakistani companies who want to expand or who are expanding to neighbor markets, let's say.
Well, it's too early for me to say much about it.
But what's been the thought process exactly?
Very simple. One of the areas that we found within our business that is a huge problem actually around the region is children's commute, right? Irrespective of a market's propensity to pay, that is a problem. It's a problem because of affordability and safety. When you look at the Middle East, it's a problem because 2 parents want to go to work. They have to put their kid in the bus. This bus is not efficient. It's taking over an hour for the kid to get to school. And it's a pain, right? And so as far as children's commute goes, that's something that we really want to expand across the region.
Okay, so school children. That's the main thing. What would you give as a practical tip to another founder to solve like a basic daily problem in Pakistan?
A tip to solve a basic daily problem.
Like you have done actually.
Give me an example of
Let's say for women, actually, I think the mobility is one of the biggest problems, definitely. The finances, being able to do a transaction or and so I'm not sure, like I don't have a problem right now in my head.
Well, I mean, look, so I think financial inclusion is obviously a huge problem in this country. But I think what's great is there's a lot of work that's being done there, right? Like, I don't know if you met with Halima from Iran. She's doing a phenomenal job. Her business is very, very focused on women. We've obviously got your Ubbies and your Bolsteads and many more that are now very heavily in that space. And so there's a lot of work being done on that, right? But we still have ways to go. But I think my practical advice, irrespective of where it goes, to everyone, stop complaining.
And yes, if you're still here, subscribe to the channel. It will help us a lot to grow and it will mean the world to us. Yeah, be positive.
No, it's not even about being positive. It's completely okay for you to not want to build in this country because it comes with its set of challenges.
Right.
But don't do it and then be surprised because you already knew. We're not running into any problems we didn't foresee. We didn't know were there. I mean, it's like me saying, "Oh, I'm really miserable because the infrastructure in Pakistan sucks." Well,
we know, we know this,
right? It's not such a big, and so I think we're so focused on the macros, and I think there's to some level, I think the founder needs to put on blinders and say, "Okay, these are the challenges here. Irrespective of that, I have chosen to build here, so that's just a part of it, and now here I go." Right, and I think that sort of mind shift is I think critical.
Do you think it's something that will stay with you, this mission, like for a long time, Maha?
I mean,
on a personal level, because I feel like it's very dear to your heart and it's like you're living by, you're breathing it every day.
100%. It's been a while since I've been at this, and it's been a much longer while that I've been complaining about this. And yeah, I think if there's one thing that I can do, especially for women, it's make them independent. This is the only way I know how to do that. Right? So yeah.
Because actually I feel it's a very almost a spiritual mission that you live by. I heard it in many other interviews, and I feel like you feel this life was given to you to do this,
100%.
almost say almost that. So it's very dear to my heart to see this.
If there's a mission that I have in my life, or was supposed meant to have in my life, it is this, right? And look, I've personally faced a lot of challenges, right? And I've faced them everywhere as far as mobility goes. And it's just such a frustrating and unfortunate experience that it's gotten been. Mobility really complicated my life when I was younger, and I really had to hustle to make my way.
Right.
And it just shouldn't have to be that hard. It should be easy, I don't want another girl struggling because she's trying to get to college and she's trying to get to work, and commute times are too long, or it's too unsafe, or whatever it is. Or just, something as simple as having to go ask a man if you can go somewhere, because without him, how do you get there? And he's driving. Why? Why? Go out, take the bus, take a car, get there, right? I think that freedom is something that I want everyone to have.
What still keeps you up at night
Oh,
beside this problem?
what keeps me up at night besides this problem? Actually, I'm up at night in a good way, because at night is when I look at all the good stuff. Like, I do the firefighting during the day, I do the strategic stuff during the day, and at night, I focus on looking at one customer's reviews. How did my work impact their lives?
Right.
That's what I'm looking at night, right? Which is my happy time, where I'm like, okay.
Just like gratitude moment, kind of.
I don't believe in gratitude during the day. I'm like, go, 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 go. But I think at night, I really like to just, take a step back and just read a customer's review and be like, okay,
That's
doing,
why I'm doing what I'm doing.
It means something, right? And at least to this one individual who I'm reading about today, we've impacted their life. And I think I just feel so grateful to be given the opportunity to do that for someone.
So happy to finish up with this beautiful line, because it closes up the loops, I feel, from what you're doing every day and how you finish your day and how you're gonna keep hustling and doing this battle for like women mobility and men also, and children. And children.
Absolutely. It's been such a pleasure, and now we should do this again, and this time we'll do it in your new city.
Thank you for doing what you're doing. Thank you for inspiring a whole generation of women in Pakistan and beyond. So I'm so proud to be in the same room with women like you. So thank you for being.
My pleasure.